Hello there, and welcome to Talking Nerdy, the show where we take various story arcs and events from current comics and we cover them. I'm your host, Obi-Wan Jabroni. Now, for today's story, we're going to be covering X-Men Legends 1 through 4. Now, X-Men Legends is a new anthology series that takes some old X-book creators throughout history and gives them a chance to tell a story they either didn't get to tell or they wanted to tell during their runs in the canon. Now, today we're going to cover the first two stories for this anthology. With that, let's start talking nerdy. First up, we have X-Men Legends number 1. Now, this two-part story kicks us back all the way to the mid-90s, just after X-Men number 39. Written by Fabian Nicieza, with art by Brent Booth, and colors by Guru EFX. The Burning Blood Part 1. Shattered Crystal, Shattered Dreams. Now, we open in Anchorage, Alaska, and we see a team of shi'ar called the Crystal Claws are attacking the hospital led by Eric the Red. And they make their way through, killing everyone until they find Philip and Deborah Summers, who are Scott and Alex, Cyclops and Havoc's grandparents. Now, at this point, we switch to the X-Mansion. And we see Cyclops and Havoc are fighting off a team of the Crystal Claws themselves on the X-Mansion lawn. And they take them down with ease and lock them all in the mansion's brig. And they are met with Professor X inside, and he says he's trying to contact the Shi'ar Empire's Empress, Liliandra. But it'll take some time for him to get a response. And at that point, Scott gets a call from Anchorage Police Department, and they tell him to come immediately. They have his grandparents. And Scott and Alex travel to Alaska, and the police tell them that their grandparents are missing. And they hands him a note that was left, written in the Shi'ar language. Now, the note says, it says, its time has come. The Empire needs a burning blood to free the light of the M'Kraan, to save the galaxy, to spare the lives of the Summers progenitors. You must deliver us, the Forsaken One. And at that point, we switch to a series of flashbacks, and we get a monologue by Adam X that I'm going to read for you as well. How can someone remember from before they should remember, but know so little now? There was fire. I felt myself boiling. There was salvation. Hands hardened by life of hitting softly protected me. I was given a name that was neither Shi'ar nor Metaphysad. I asked why. I never asked what other secrets I left behind. I was told my parents would be an unwanted burden. And I was given a life of peace. Jonath had been the commander of the Shati and the personal guard to the Shi'ar Empire. For the failure to save the Emperor from his son, Dakin's attack, the Jati were exiled to Krishashara. Sorry, alien names. Anyway, the greatest warriors of the Empire became farmers. It was considered a punishment. But to me, it was home, and they were family. From my first step, Jana taught me how to protect myself. I was a farmer. I was a fighter. But as I came to age, we learned how very different I was. On the day my powers manifested, I learned I was neither Shi'ar nor Mephistoid, and never really even human. I was none. I was all. I was more. I was mutant. I could ignite the oxygenated blood of anyone in my vicinity, causing them excruciating pain. I knew that to escape who I was and discover who I would be, I would one day need to go to Earth. From the first time in many months, I feel at peace. It is strange, but good. The truth of my birth has been revealed to me. The fanatical Shi'ar pursuers have been eliminated. I have clarity now. And with that, finally hope. Now, we see Adam sitting and meditating when he hears something move close, and he turns and throws one of his knives at it. It's stopped mid-air by Cable. And he tells Adam that the X-Men contacted him about the shi'ar, and he asks why they're after him. Adam tells him that the Crystal Claw is ran by the man called Eric the Red, and that he took out one of their hidden bases recently. Cable says that Adam needs to go and meet with Scott and Alex immediately, and that he can trust them. And he says that he can't go along, that he has troubles of his own, and he leaves. Now, Adam leaves and starts to hitchhike down the road himself. And two lights appear in the distance in the sky, and they start rushing towards him. And we see that it's Hezbollah and Raza of the Starjammers, and they're riding hover bikes. And they attack Adam, and he takes out Hezbollah's bike and runs into a cornfield. They chase him and continue to attack when a red blast hits them both from behind. Scott and Alex tell everyone to stand down. Raza tells them that they have a bounty for Adam X, and Adam bolts again, going back towards the road. He gets out to find the other four already there and waiting for him on the road. And Adam quickly charges and gets a cut in on each of them and yells out "burn" as their oxygenated blood starts to cause them all pain. Adam's powers burn anyone that he inflicts injury to. And it takes out Hezbollah and Raza, but Scott and Alex are unaffected somehow. And they both blast Adam simultaneously. But their attacks have no effect on him either, and they stand stunned staring at each other. And at that moment, the ship, the Starjammer ship, appears above them, and Corsair says that he thought it was obvious why they can't hurt each other. He points the gun at Adam's head, and he says, "He's your brother. Now say goodbye." And he shoots, ending our first issue. Taking us to X-Men Legends number 2, The Burning Blood, Part 2. This foul birth, this scorched earth. And we open with Adam X laying with a smoking bullet hole in his forehead. And Corsair says that he had a bounty for Adam, and he killed him so he could free his parents from Eric the Red. And Scott grabs Corsair and yells in his face, "You killed him in cold blood." And behind them they hear a groan, and they turn to see Adam sitting up, and he says, "No, I'm bioengineered to take a headshot," and that his brain is actually located elsewhere in his body. And Adam and Corsair start to argue instantly. And Scott gets between them, saying, "Enough. We are going to talk this out like the dysfunctional family that we are." And we switch to later on the Starjammer. And Corsair explains that before his wife was killed by J.N.N, that he had taken cell samples as part of his program to merge the shi'ar DNA with other races, and that this is how Adam was made, and how he is a Summers brother. And Adam says he's sorry. He didn't ask for any of this, and he gives a speech that I'm going to read for you. "I had nothing to do with any of this. I was told that J.N.N's reign fell into ruins. His followers destroyed all evidence of his immoral activities. The surviving remnants of J.N.N's disgraced elite guard, the Jati, rescued me from a lab before my time of hatching. We lived in peace on an outback farming planet named Cheshire until the Crystal Claw sect found me. J.N.N's followers had gone into hiding, and over nearly 20 years they had grown in number. They said the Forsaken One would help them reclaim the throne. The man who raised me, Jonath, of the Jati rejected their demands. Dav and Shi'ar deemed this defiance unacceptable. They released toxins across the entire planet. We only had one skimmer that could withstand travel through a stargate. The man who raised me, my entire community, my entire planet, all died that so I could escape. I mean no offense to your mate, Corsair, but though she meant so much to all of you, I have no emotional connection to her or the father who means nothing to me." And at this point, they arrive at the blue area of the moon, and they put Adam in shackles and go to meet with Eric the Red and the Crystal Claws. And when they land, Corsair tells Eric that he can have Adam in exchange for his parents as they had agreed. And Eric tries to get Corsair to join his cause, and Corsair just continues to tell him no way. When Raza calls on comms and tells Corsair that his parents are secured, Corsair smiles and says, "Good, I was running out of material anyway." And at that point, Adam breaks from his shackles and kills 3 of Eric's guards as Scott and Alex attack Eric the Red himself. Adam moves quickly, hitting every Crystal Claw member with his blades, and screams burn. Eric and all his Crystal Claws scream in agony and fall to the ground. With the Summers family reunited, Adam apologizes for causing all this trouble, and Scott says to call the Imperium to turn over the Crystal Claws, but he isn't sure what to do with Adam yet. And Corsair tells him, "Don't worry, I had a contingency for this plan," and he pushes a button on a device on his belt. And all around them, the Shi'ar Imperial Guard teleports in, and the leader, Gladiator, says it's time for the Forsaken One to no longer be forsaken. And Scott steps in front of Adam, saying that he don't want to fight the Imperium, but he will if it means he has to protect his brothers. And Adam steps up, pushing him to the side, and says no. He's done running, and he's done fighting. Now, at that point, we switch to the Shi'ar throne world, Chandelar. And Scott and Alex are with Adam, Corsair, and Guardian, and they're standing before the Shi'ar Empress, Magistrix Lalandra. And she tells Adam that he has done no wrong, and that he deserves peace in his life. He will be sent back to Earth with all 3 brothers, and all 3 brothers will have memories of this relation and all events erased from their minds. And they all head to Earth, and on the way they say their goodbyes to Adam before Oracle of the Imperium clears their memories. And we switch back to Earth, and we see Adam's back in Iowa again, and he's walking towards a farm. They hire him as a farmhand once he approaches and knocks on the door. And the scene pans out to become a computer screen showing the farm and Adam entering the building. And Mr. Sinister smiles and pushes a button. And that ends the issue and the first story of Art Today. Leading us into X-Men Legends number 3. Now, this is another 2-part story that takes us back to the late 80s, just before X Factor Volume 1, number 43, The Judgment Wars. Now, written by Louise Simonson, with art by Walter Simonson, and colors by Laura Martin. Part 1, Transformations. Now, we open with Apocalypse finding Cameron Hodges' severed, still living head. And Apocalypse picks him up and tells him that he should have worded his deal better with the demon Nastar. Now, he takes Hodge with him and Caliban, and they teleport away. And we switch to the X-Factor ship. Jean is laying baby Christopher, who is Cable, to bed, and she goes to check on Scott. And him and Jean talk about everything that has happened lately. Jean's return from death, Angel's transformation into Archangel, and the Goblin Queen's Inferno, which has just recently ended. And while they're talking, they're alerted that Hank and Bobby are incoming fast. And on their ship, Hank says that he's been locked out of the controls. And he and Bobby jump from the ship, riding on an ice slide as their ship crashes and explodes into the side of X Factor's vessel. And Scott, Jean, and Warren join them on the deck when they hear Christopher cry and they find that they can't re-enter the ship. The ship AI tells them that it don't know what's wrong and it is losing control of the ship. And we switch to elsewhere in Apocalypse's hidden base in Nepal. Apocalypse is watching X Factor on a monitor, and he says that he knew this day would come. And he goes over to Caliban and Hodge's head and starts to hook Hodge to a machine. Apocalypse tells him that he will have a chance at revenge against X Factor, especially Archangel. And he pushes some buttons on the computer, and Hodge rises up to reveal a new, huge robot body. And back on X Factor's ship, the team has found a way in and are trying to find the baby and a terminal hub to shut down the ship itself. And the ship is shifting and transforming all over its space. And they blast, freeze, and smash their way through it, finding Christopher, and the ship tells them that they are near a hub as well. And Jean uses the Phoenix Force to blast apart the wall that goes to the hub, and as they enter, the floor starts to shift around them. Warren tells them to run, and slings his wings, causing metal blades to fly at the hub and explode, as Bobby puts up an ice shield around them and is closing off the room. And we go back to Nepal yet again. Apocalypse tells Hodge that the ship has stopped transforming, but X Factor is still alive and on the ship's deck. Hodge says he will destroy them in exchange for a human body with the powers of the robot one he has now, and he teleports out. And we switch back to the ship yet again. The team is relaxing on the deck as the AI runs diagnostics on the ship. And they turn as they hear a loud bang, and Hodge teleports onto the deck, ending the first issue. Taking us to our final issue, X-Men Legends number 4, Part 2, Tools. And we open on X-Factor's ship. Hodge has appeared and instantly starts to attack X-Factor as Apocalypse and Caliban watch from Nepal. Every attack X-Factor tries is failing, and Hodge is easily countering them. And Scott tries to blast the leg, but it ricochets into Angel, and he blasts again, and it ricochets, barely missing Jean and the baby. Another assault from Hodge hits Jean, and Scott dives in to catch the baby, but it's grabbed by a tentacle, and Bobby swoops in, barely able to grab Christopher and getting away. Beast jumps onto Hodge's back, but is thrown off as he tells Bobby to give it full power, and Bobby unleashes a full-strength ice blast onto Hodge. Hodge easily heats it up and breaks free, and Bobby throws Baby Cable to Warren. But being a mutant himself, he forms a TK bubble around him and lands on top of the Hodge robot, and starts to mess with a metal panel that he lands next to. Hodge lets out a blast at Bobby and Hank as tentacles get a hold of Warren, and Beast starts to stir as Warren is electrocuted by the tentacles. He grabs the baby and distracts Hodge, allowing Warren to break free. Hank tells Warren to hit him in a damaged section of the head that he had seen when he was grabbing Christopher, and Warren flies in and uses his wings to cut Hodge in half from the weak point. And as Hodge falls, he is teleported back to Nepal. And Apocalypse tells him that he failed, and he won't be getting that new body that they had tried to agree on. Hodge tells him that all mutants must die, but as tools they may be useful as well, and he teleports his head on spider legs out of the lab. On the monitor, X-Force is back inside the ship nursing wounds, when the AI loses control of the ship and they start to fly off into space towards the Judgment War. And as they see this, Apocalypse gives a speech. X-Factor remain alive as well, and in possession of the ship, and yet you seem oddly pleased. And now the ship is leaving, Master. Why, where is it going? Will you not tell your faithful hound what's happening? And Apocalypse responds, X-Factor were my finest creations, Caliban, and for that I was loath to destroy them. I am pleased they succeeded in defeating Hodge despite the behemoth. As to where the ship is going, I don't exactly know. Not exactly, anyway. I only know that at last its creators, the Celestials, are calling it home. And Caliban asks what Celestials are. Giant beings, my hound, judges with the power to destroy worlds they deem unworthy. Angels, perhaps even gods. I met them long ago, and I took the sampling device they left behind for my own. For a time, it became my ship, and it taught me many things. When I gave it to X Factor, I planned to send them to the Celestials as examples of the best Earth had to offer. I hoped this might buy Earth some time before they returned again, to judge and possibly destroy humanity. I hoped those promising samples might put off their arrival for another century or two. How it is out of my hands. If the Celestials find them of interest, it may buy the Earth the time it needs for more of the strong to emerge. An army of mutants with the power to defend this planet, should it prove necessary. If not, then I may well have condemned the Earth and ensured our world's destruction. And that ends this story. I hope you all enjoyed the video this week. Be sure to join us next week where we cover the Spawn's Universe mini-event. Thanks for watching, and as always, remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Feedback is always welcome. You can also find us on the Jabroni Nerd Network Facebook page and on Twitter at Jabroni Network. Until next week, guys, keep talking nerdy. Thank you.